basic breakdown of what energy medicine is, and depending on the different types of Western medicine that some of you might have had experience with or have questioned in the past, and then what are the origins of Western medicine or the mainstream medicine that's more common these days. What's the relationship of that with complementary or alternative medicine, or which I like to refer to as natural medicine? So I would say think in terms of artificial intelligence, as in where the mainstream medicine is the child of natural medicine, how everything did come from plants or natural elements. And then in labs is where they experimented and tested with all these chemicals and came up with diluted forms of those plants. So, in a way, a lot of people think one is a better option, but my goal and the goal of energy medicine practitioners is to say that there's no competition, but both support each other. And if patients or clients have issues, or the mainstream medicine doesn't settle well with their unique system, their physique, their mental, um, spiritual, physical, holistic being, then this is to help introduce them to some basic alternative or complementary medicine options. And then I kept the list really small because of the time and because the quality. We don't want to, I personally don't want to throw so many techniques out there, but whatever is popular and whatever people are getting into, quote unquote, these days. So if you can see, I will share this PowerPoint and I'm not going to read off of it. I will try not to. But when we think of shelf life or expiration date, we know our pills or um, whichever form the lab made. I'm going to refer to mainstream medicine as lab made. We take, there's usually an expiration date, right? So the natural healing abilities or the elements that are in that medicine have a shelf life compared to natural medicine, which you would take and make yourself or go to experts who make it for you and take it in a session or a ceremony when we think of plant medicine. So dependency, addiction for both types, right? Everything we know holistically. Sorry, I need to admit someone. 1 second. Hold that thought. Okay. So dependency and addiction, if not, if plant medicine or energy medicine and Western mainstream medicine is not done in balance and is abused, then there are physical, mental repercussions or like side effects. So that keeping that in mind, as why even why you are joining this course today to learn basics. Like, what are your intentions and what do you feel natural medicine compared with mainstream medicine? So keep your intentions and how this can benefit you. This is mainly to share with you, like, how can you apply both, or open yourself up to energy medicine. And so with energy medicine, all our senses come into play. As you as we know, the main five senses: feeling, seeing, hearing, smelling, and tasting. You smelling, aromatherapy; tasting, taking the plant medicine; and then hearing can be the sound or music therapy, singing bowls; seeing, visualization meditations; feeling is when techniques like Reiki healing or pranic or Tai Chi type of things come into play, and even yoga. Um, so, but so most of the content or research experiments that I took, um, my uh, a fact check I did on NIH research papers. I also have sources at the end, which you guys can dig deeper into later. But they do recognize that there's an underappreciated sixth sense, and it's called proprioception, or I would like to call it the third eye effect, or like the inner intuition, inner eye. So um, that's what allows us to keep track of where our body parts are in space. So, AKA where our body resides. Like, that's the observer in us, the awareness in us. And again, this quote by Tesla is, it can never get old in the spiritual community. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay, so we'll just start with plant medicine. And then a lot of you, majority of like folks these days, thanks to social media, are aware of cannabis, especially, but magic mushrooms is becoming a thing. And just in, I think, past 5-10 years, ayahuasca is also becoming popular. So today I won't get to touch on magic mushrooms, but ayahuasca and cannabis and the spiritual. My take is mostly spiritual on these things, and then obviously some research from the experiments that folks at NIH have done. And then uses for plant medicine: spiritual, recreational, and medical. Okay, so before discussing plant medicine, there's this concept of Pachamama. Pacha, in indigenous origins, especially North and South America, um, it's basically honoring nature, and then the energies of nature that are held by, we can call it Mother Earth or Earth Goddess. So again, that we are made of the five elements from earth, and then the sixth being ethers, our soul, spirit, or akasha. So with Pachamama and plant medicine, the concept of honoring the plants, that like cannabis, which people don't really think of the spiritual side of that. Folks usually just, it's like, um, they know it helps them. It's a feel good thing, just like you go smoke hookah. Like, it's treated like that versus being honored and used for actual spiritual awakening, or just working with your energy and chakras. And um, So the concept of us just taking from nature and not even showing gratitude, that's where Pachamama energy comes in. Knowing that there's a consciousness intelligence behind these plant medicines will it's going to help us open up the gateway between our soul spirit and the spirit of earth and the particular medicine or plant that we are working with or getting healing from. So yeah, these are just them. One thing I want to highlight is the disconnection leading to dissonance and then leading to disease. So when we disconnect from spirit and all the components of nature and life around us, causes dissonance in our own energy centers, in our own spirit, because we get lost in the human experience, and then the energy or the life force, which I will share later, be it chi, prana, or ki in Japanese traditions, um, there's dissonance in that when we disconnect from our spiritual nature, the nature of all the elements, plants, animals, life forms around us, disregarding that energetically, like Tesla said, it's all it's one network. So that dissonance leads to dis-ease, where our energies and our chakras, the centers of our being, um, get energy blockages. So that's the concept of disconnection, dissonance, and dis-ease. And then even Earth goes through cycles. So natural disasters can also be seen as repairing periods. Um, and then again, remembering to honor and respect plant medicine and the cycles of nature. So on the left here, we have the wise version of Pachamama. Her crown is nature. Her crown is the trees, the plants, the leaves. And if you look at her face, right, it represents a tree, the tusk of a tree, the wrinkles and all that. So she can be envisioned as a tree. And the flowers, or they're hard to see, but the yellow flowers are blossoming and the leaves, right? The radiation, the green, it's the life. And us are like we can be seen as flowers, all forms of life. Um, and then it's she sort of has this in this picture. I didn't notice it before, but all the markings, and in the middle of her forehead there's a crescent moon, um, again representing cycles of nature and spirit. And then the moon also represents divine feminine energies. So the whole concept of Pachamama being a goddess, or that energy that sustains life, comes into play. And then on the right side, we have the um, youthful version of Pachamama, where her flowers, um, and then plant medicine is used as incense. So that's more of on the side of ayahuasca. And then even basic things like chamomile tea, green tea, right? Those are smaller versions of natural uh, plant medicine. And here again, we have the crescent moon and then the sun. So it's not just about divine feminine, but also the grace that the divine masculine has. So striking that balance, if we can see ourselves as the infant, right? We are the a child of source, but what takes care of us on this planet is Mother Earth. So she nourishes us. We grow from her roots, from her soils, and then um, the feathers, right, reminding of us our spiritual guidance. So bird feathers, how we're connected with birds, animals around us. Um, and then the hummingbirds or spiritual messengers, and then just nature in general. Like there are these drops coming from above. They're kind of black. So that's reminding me of rain and the cycles of nature and seasons. So keeping that in mind, just like nature, we have cycles. Okay. So the first plant medicine is cannabis. If you can look at the picture here, so um, what's been legalized by Western mainstream or are folks that who are committed and dedicated in the medical field, um, thanks to their funding that did focus on medical marijuana, folks are able to reap the benefits of cannabis. So the spiritual side of it is that there are 7 points on the cannabis leaf. And then I can go on about what the number 7 represents, but for now we can stick with the 7 chakras. And then Christianity, Abrahamic religions, there are the 7 archangels. So Eastern traditions of spirituality and Western traditions of spirituality are both combined in the spirit and energy of cannabis plant. And then herbalists or plant medicine experts, according to them, cannabis can bring the vital force, right? The chi, prana, or ki from our crown chakra, head, mind, that air element, where awareness, if we have blockages in those centers, cannabis can be used to open that up and bring us into the present. And if you guys have any questions, concerns, you can note them down and we can address them in the end. So, as you folks may know, there are different strains of cannabis, and then the main thing folks always know or need to be careful about is the level of THC. And then we'll see about dependency and side effects. So it was medical marijuana was legalized in 37 states. Virginia is one of them. Um, so it's according to our body type again, right? Our own system, males versus females, and then building the tolerance level, just like with mainstream medicine, like Tylenol, Advil, or any pain medicine, the dosage comes into play here. And then, so the research behind it, right? It's well known to reduce seizures. So that's a big deal. A lot of children and then youth, there's studies been done on seizures. So medical marijuana has helped that tremendously, even migraines. So, and then pain for chronic diseases, arthritis, and then anxiety, depression, stress. So this is all emotional and mental, right? And then if medical marijuana is helping um, us mentally, emotionally, that creates space for energy healing. So more prana, life force, can be accessed by our other energy centers. And recent study they're doing on chemotherapy patients where it's helping to reduce nausea, the side effects of that. So yes, how folks take it, inhaling versus ingesting in edible forms also makes a big difference. And again, addiction comes into play here. Since it's a feel good, when you do smoke it, inhale it, immediate effects, right? You immediately feel free or stress free, and then it's easy to get addicted to that. So then we need to consider and check our intentions again. This is where mindfulness and spirituality comes into play. Like, what's your intention behind using this plant? Are you abusing it? And then if you're abusing it, you're also abusing your own system, because as within, so without. So minor side effects can be low blood pressure or the red shot eyes, but high severity, like there's lung disease. There are traces of tobacco found in certain strains of cannabis. So again, it's up to us to do, since FDA doesn't have the proper funding to monitor it like other prescription drugs, it's up to our own responsibility, if we do choose to work with cannabis, to do our own research and select a certain strain and the dosage and the method of how we take this. And then, like I mentioned, the 5 elements and the 7 importance of sorry, the pop-up 7 chakras and the planets and archangels. So this is just a depiction of that. Again, many people don't know this, but even I recently found out, plants are sacred. So we need to honor them when we do work with them. And then on the right side here, we have, so if most of you have know David Hawkins is the last name. I don't want to mess up the first name, but the frequency chart, right? Feelings ranging from shame, guilt, grief, fear, anger. So working with this, keeping this in mind for the rest of this presentation today, know how plant medicine, once we let go of the fears, insecurities using plant medicine, we can raise our frequency, vibration. Since we are all energy, it's all about raising our vibrations, not suppressing the lower vibrations, but acknowledging them and then spiraling up towards courage, pride, uh, courage, neutrality, where we do become accepting of all of our feelings, emotions, and life lessons. Okay, next we have ayahuasca, or Aya, or grandmother ayahuasca. So ayahuasca is a psychotropic plant tea from South America used for religious purposes by indigenous people of the Amazon. That's NIH's description of it. Why do most spiritual folks call it grandmother? It's because it's an ancient plant medicine used in tribal or indigenous ceremonies, initiations into the spiritual realm, working with nature, spirits, and elements. It's a direct way of you trying to get your nirvana, basically. But it's done in stages and initiations. And we'll also discuss a few side effects. And just FYI, there are 7 minutes remaining to this, but the second link is emailed to you. And so please click on that. And then, okay. So Pachamama's most powerful plant medicine, deep spiritual healing, and it caters to individuals when they take it. It shows folks what they need to see energetically, where their blockages are in visual forms. Folks who've taken it or go to these ceremonies on retreats for ayahuasca, they're shown some pretty deep, suppressed traumatic experiences, and they're visualized in spirits that shake you. So it's important when you do take it to go to a proper source and a ceremonial shaman or practitioner. It's not mainstream, and again, proper research is needed if you do want to experience this and you do want to take the spiritual path to do more energy intensive work on yourself and you're kind of tired of mainstream medicine. This could be an option for you. Yeah, similar benefits as cannabis, but caters more to the mental health disorders, deep depression, right? That sort of that scope. Um, when we kind of our ego or guilt, when we self guilt trip, so this allows for self acceptance and non judgment. Side effects for use of this plant, if not done under proper supervision, psychiatric, non-psychiatric events, hallucinations, agitation, aggression, vomiting, and seizures.